Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. First tonight, almost 90 whales have been released back into the ocean as fatigued crews continue their mammoth rescue efforts on the west coast. Attention is now beginning to shift to the cleanup, with hundreds of carcasses needing to be removed from Macquarie Harbour.
The world watching on as heroes race against the clock. Almost 90 whales have now been saved.
On Monday, as we're trying to come up with plans, if we'd said, yep, we'll get 90 off the bar, we would have been very happy with that.
While 4 of the animals have been euthanased, crews are still working to save another 20 whales left fighting for their lives.
Whilst ever we've got live animals that have a chance, and we have the crew and the resources to shift them, then we'll certainly give it a go.
Fatigue is beginning to set in for the volunteers and marine officers who have now worked tirelessly for days. Fresh crews will arrive on the west coast tomorrow to relieve exhausted rescuers, but those on the front line are focusing on the good.
So you take the calf out with the mother, and once you see them both swim away out to the actual ocean, it's very rewarding.
To see that movement and know they have a chance is an amazing feeling to have that in amongst so much tragedy and sadness.
Crews will regroup tonight to form a clean-up plan. Leaving hundreds of carcasses where they are isn't an option.
They will need to be removed out of the harbour because the organic breakdown will be too much in the harbour.
Hoping to remove them before they attract predators.
Like sharks, which will break down these animals, and then after a period of time they may fall to the bottom of the water.
A pen and weighted buoy lines being considered to contain the carcasses until they can be safely towed out to sea, hoping to start the removal process tomorrow.
There's certainly several options that we've considered, everything from loading them onto a barge to actually gathering them into a group to tow.
A decision on where the carcasses will be left is still up in the air.
We want to give the carcasses the best chance of either going out to sea, or if they do rebeaching in places where they won't cause problems.
Meg Sides, 7 Tasmania News.
Human Services Minister Roger Yench is facing calls to resign following allegations by Labor and the Greens that he lied to Parliament. A leaked cabinet document revealed the state government was considering changing laws around public housing evictions, but the minister denied any knowledge of the proposal when asked.
Last year, disability pensioner Gregory Parsons won an appeal against his Housing Tasmania eviction. Today, the Human Services Minister was asked if he had considered changing tenancy laws in the wake of the judgment.
To make it easier to evict tenants without genuine or just reason.
His reply:
I'm not aware of any changes proposed or undertaken.
But an hour later, the Greens produced a leaked Cabinet minute, revealing Cabinet had not only considered the idea, but later dumped it following the COVID pandemic.
He lied to the House. Minister Yench should resign. And if he won't resign, the Premier should sack him.
A bid for a no-confidence motion debate was quickly squashed by the government with the support of independent Madeleine Ogilvie.
10 ayes to 12 noes, therefore the noes have it.
So Labor took the fight outside.
It is irrelevant at what point in the timeline the minister made this decision. He made it, and then he misled the Parliament about it, and he didn't correct the record. He's not fit to be minister.
Cassie O'Connor says Mr Yench must follow the footsteps of others.
Adam Brooks lied to Parliament through the estimates process, and ultimately he resigned. In the famous Shreddergate case, Steve Cons lied to Parliament, the Greens exposed him, and he resigned.
The Premier, who had hoped to talk about his COVID Recovery Council, was left dodging questions on whether Cabinet had considered tenancy changes, adding only,
Mr Yench was correct in that there has been no decision made to introduce legislation to change the law.
As for how the minute became public,
my understanding is that there was an email error.
An error which could still prove costly for the government. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
The controversial Major Projects Bill is all but guaranteed to become law after clearing both houses of Parliament. The state government argues the bill will simplify the planning process and unlock more investment. It's promising the reforms won't weaken appeals or fast-track projects. An alliance of community groups and the Greens remain worried it will give a green light to divisive developments. A Bothwell woman has been charged with multiple counts of fraud following a long investigation by Tasmania Police. It's alleged the offences occurred between 2013 and 2020, involving property obtained from suppliers of Central Highlands Council, worth a total of $135,000. The 37-year-old has been bailed to appear in the Hobart Magistrates Court in November. Hobart Airport has joined forces with neighbouring businesses to reduce the amount of waste from coffee products. Used coffee grounds from the Red Square Cafe at Cambridge will be collected by airport staff and taken to a nearby nursery. They will then be mixed into a compost, which will be used on the airport's gardens and landscape projects.
We're basically taking a product that is normally waste and finding value in that product and bringing that back for further use in the airports.
It's a very small amount of work for us for what actually ends up being quite a significant amount of benefit for the end product.
Around 50 kilograms of coffee grounds will be saved from landfill each week. Meanwhile, a Tasmanian fruit business has gone fishing for a new compost. It has teamed up with Huon Aquaculture to turn its hatchery byproducts into a nutrient-rich soil, with the first batch being spread out on an orchard this morning.
From the ocean to the orchard, the waste of one food product is giving life to another. Cherry Tasmania workers were out spreading the love this morning, laying down a new batch of compost on their world-renowned trees.
You show me the biggest cherry in the orchard and I'll show you the healthiest tree. There's a synergy between a healthy tree and a lovely piece of fruit.
However, this batch is a little different. They've teamed up with Huon Aquaculture to turn bioproducts from salmon farming into a nutrient-rich food for their soil.
It comes up here and then he takes over and mixes it in and uses all his amazing equipment that they've developed here to make a product that is just absolutely fantastic.
Taking more than 7 years to develop, it will replace traditional manure products. Chicken and cow compost can be high in ammonia, chloride and sodium, which have to be managed carefully to protect the trees. Mr. Hansen says using freshwater fish in the mixture unlocks a number of important nutrients.
The microbial diversity that we've been able to achieve through all the microbes that are in the existing compost feeding off the fish waste is where we've seen our greatest growth.
We're feeding our fish. Their poo is then collected in a recirc situation and then it's actually then used to create another product.
And as for the smell?
It is a bit strong for a while, but it goes very quickly.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
There are concerns children are picking up more viruses with social distancing falling by the wayside. A Tasmanian medical centre has seen a rise in sick patients presenting to the clinic.
Dr. Jerome Muir-Wilson saw the lowest number of sick children he's ever seen during Tasmania's lockdown, but that has since changed.
I think that especially younger kids at school, social distancing doesn't exist, and so as school's gone back, it's really nice for people to get back in that learning environment, but they are passing on those bugs that are starting to get more and more common again.
It's a similar story for this Ravenswood childcare centre.
We've had to send quite a few home due to COVID being so much like a cold. Children get the sniffles, they start coughing, we have to ring parents and ask them to come and get them. Same with staff. If they have a cold, they have to go home.
The centre, like other early learning facilities, has put in a COVID management plan to minimise the risk of children becoming sick. It has been a mammoth task for Taylor Jackson, the centre's work, health and safety manager, to implement.
I need to make sure that families and staff are maintaining the social distancing with markings, ensuring only one family comes into the service, and when they do that they hand sanitise coming in and going out, as well as their children.
This year's flu season has been one of the best on record in recent years, with less social activities over winter and more frequent hygiene practices to thank. But Tasmanians are being urged to keep up these standards to prevent falling ill. Elizabeth O'Neill, 7 Tasmania News.
In a bid to promote Georgetown and boost pride, a community-led group has created a competition to design themed bumper stickers celebrating the municipality. Out of the more than 200 entries, 7 stickers have been chosen, and Maggie Fletcher designed 2 of them.
Georgetown has had a bad rap, but it's a wonderful town. I love it.
The community, if it's got pride in itself, will grow in terms of its economic value to the overall community.
It's the first of a number of initiatives to be rolled out in the community. Tasmania's Seafood Industry Council has launched a new digital app for tourists looking to sample local produce. The app went online today, just in time for the busy school holiday period. It will offer tips and information about the industry, along with an insight into its history. Users can plan their journeys to local seafood businesses and also find out when boats are returning to shore to snap up fresh produce.
So we want to provide them the opportunity to better understand and know where they can go and support our seafood industry and buy some fresh or cooked seafood.
In downloading it, can find it in their phone's app store.
Lauderdale has locked in 3rd spot on the TSL ladder after thrashing Glenorchy last night by 53 points. The Southern Bombers kept the Pies goalless after half-time. It's the first time Lauderdale's won at KG5 since 2017. With the likes of Jay Bowden and Daniel and Matthew Joseph missing, Glenorchy was always in for a tough night. It took only a few minutes for Sam Tilley to boot Lauderdale's first, and only a few more for things to get heated.
Webster was collected high after the fact, and he didn't like the treatment.
Glenorchy had trouble coming out of defence. No such trouble though for Will Poland, scooping up the candy in slippery conditions and selling it on the way through. The bear-like Tute Havea showed his strength. Zach Webster showed strength under pressure, putting Glenorchy on the board from a tough angle. Likewise, Mitch Rainbird.
It's a really strong mark taken by Rainbird.
Neither side could drop its guard, especially as John Geard put the Pies back in the contest. The game was held up while Hayden Smith was taken off with an injury, but on the scoreboard it was all Lauderdale.
Oh, that was magnificent one-handed pickup, spin move to his lookalike in Walsh, around the corner, goal of the night.
Big man Havea would kick 4 of them to single-handedly outscore Glenorchy. Tilley backed up with a second goal in the final term to seal a dour night for the hosts at KG5. It means Lauderdale is set to face Launceston in the first week of finals. Before that though, Launceston will face Clarence at Richmond, a ground no one in the side has played on before.
We know it's a little bit smaller than Windsor Park, and Clarence have played some good footy there this year.
Tim Bristow won't play, nor will Tim Auckland, who's being rested, while Sam Foley will debut.
We've been trying to get him in over the last few weeks, but it's been really difficult with the level of depth that we've had, and he finds his opportunity this week.
After going down to the Tigers, Clarence needs to regain some ground to hold on to the top 4.
We like playing at Richmond, good country feel, the guys love it out there, so you know, as long as we go there and deliver what we've got to deliver, we give ourselves an opportunity to win the game.
To netball, Northern Hawks has declared last year's loss in the grand final is driving the team in 2020. The Hawks are undefeated this season and say the team's culture is part of the secret. Even in a hugely disrupted season, one thing hasn't changed. Northern Hawks and Cavaliers are again the teams to beat.
Our team culture this season has been the best that it's been in a number of years.
The Hawks are injury-free, undefeated and feeling determined entering the finals. But they must first overcome Cripps Waratah. Despite convincing wins in the past, Danny Pickett says it wasn't a walk in the park last time.
We weren't coming off the court thinking that it was an easy game. We came off the court absolutely buggered, which was really good.
Cripps will need to stop the Hawks goal machine Ash Moore, who's topped score sheets across the league consistently this season.
The percentage that she's shooting at is pretty scary. I think once the ball's in the goals, you can pretty much, or in the goal circle, you can pretty much put a score next to their name. So I think we just need to focus on cutting her supply.
While the other semi-final will see Cavaliers face Kingston. Cavs have lost Dana Lester through injury, so they're calling up Monique Dufty from the under-19s.
She's hit the court a few times for us, for only small patches, but we've started to introduce her into our training so that she's feeling a little bit more part of the team.
Kingston's Lucy Street admits the Blues didn't expect to make it to the Final Four.
I don't think a lot of us did. I think we were hoping to, but with a new team losing a lot of old players and then some of us coming up from 19s, I guess there was a bit of a development year. But I think just over the break, we really just gelled as a team, and I think that's helped us out on court.
Both games are on at the Silverdome.
Good evening. Temperatures up to 3 below average today. Hobart and Launceston just 14, Burnie 15 and Devonport 13 degrees. 15 was the highest. That was recorded at Cressy, Friendly Beaches and Bushy Park as well. Low Head, St Helens, Grove and the Islands all 13. Strawn 12. The overnight low was -3 on Mount Wellington. We had mid to low level cloud sitting over the west and south, but it did move across the state today, followed by a layer of high cloud this afternoon. Victoria, South Australia and New South Wales found some cover as well. Northwest WA picked up some cloud. Thunderstorms developed over the Northern Territory and the Queensland coast. Tomorrow a cold front moves through our region. The high over the Bight is centred well to the south. A bit of a confusing wind map tonight. We have northwest to northeast winds shifting southwesterly from the northwest late morning and south to southeasterly to 30 knots over the southwest later. Southerly winds over the east. Got all that? A strong wind warning for western waters from southeast Cape to Stanley. We have a frost warning as well for the Midlands and upper Derwent Valley. Friday for Hobart, 14 with showers developing. Same for Huonville, 14 the high for Campania too. Launceston, 12 and rain for Devonport just 11 degrees and 11 also for Georgetown. Burnie, 10 degrees with rain. Showers for Strawn, 12, 11 the high for Wynyard. St Helens tomorrow, 13 the top with rain developing. Showers later for Swansea as well on 14, 14 for Port Arthur. To Saturday, a bit windy with a shower or two, but mainly fine over the north. Partly cloudy but fine on Sunday. Maybe a shower over the west and far south, easing by evening. And on Monday, light showers over the west, otherwise fine. An early storm possible for Perth. Showers easing from Adelaide. Rain in Melbourne. A shower or two for Sydney and 25. A fine sunny 30 in Brisbane. Temperatures dropping a bit here. Hobart cloudy and 8 in Launceston. I'll get it right, Kim. Devonport mostly cloudy and 9 degrees. I was shivering a bit because of these temperatures we're going to expect tomorrow. A little bit chilly.
Any excuse for bad performance, Murph. That's all we have time for this evening. There'll be updates throughout the night. Thanks for your company this evening. Good night.